Welcome to a special episode of Driven for Health. This is one of my guys in the Call to Rise program. I'm super excited to introduce Lucas, the challenges that he had, the health situation he was in, and the things that he was able to overcome. Who is Lucas? Quickly, unfortunately, he's in a sedentary job like most people I meet, most guys. He is a financial analyst. This guy's great with numbers, which actually worked in our favor because that's all that calories are anyways. Food is just calories and macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats. And once he realized that, he's really good at numbers, and we had a home run hit with this guy. He moved from Knoxville to Cleveland. The weight started gaining in that time frame in the last 2 years. He didn't have much structure, routine, community in a sense. He's just hanging out with whoever was, say, closest to him. And he picked up some bad habits as a result that were leading him to his highest body weight that he'd been ever. He knew that he needed a change. Fortunately, his dad had worked with me in the past, and it was an easy, hey, go have a conversation with Brian, and he joined the program. So fast forward, he's 25, but he knew that when he's looking around his office at the other 40, 50, 60-year-old guys, they were not quite the physique that he was hoping to have at that age, and knew that he needed to kick into gear. All right, Lucas, what was the biggest thing that we were able to accomplish together? Give us the juicy number of how much you lost from where you started to where you're at now. And
all right, Brian. Well, thanks for the intro. So I started out at the beginning of the program, August 22nd. I was 236, and today getting on the scale, I'm 205.7. So a little over 30 pounds lost. So it's been a very good journey.
Yes.
So far.
Yes. Yep. On my end, it's been really easy. On your end, you've been putting in work, which is the whole point. But we've made it as easy as we can. Share a little bit about who you are, what some of the situation was of how the weight came on in the first place, so that people understand that you're just like any other person and just got caught up in life and the change and transition of all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I am like anyone else. And actually, I'm pretty active too. I like to play golf. I like to play pickleball, play sports in high school, did intramurals in college. But, after I graduated, I was moved up to Cleveland with my company and didn't really know anybody in the area. And then all of a sudden, reality hits and I'm working 50, 60 hours a week.
Right.
Again, a very sedentary job. And the weight just starts coming on. You don't realize when you take away the activity and you're sitting all day, just what effect that can have on you. I think you mix that too with some just being in a different setting. So not having as many people that in the area,
Right.
not as many connections. And so you isolate a little bit. And so you're not getting out doing as much. And so I think that played into it too. And ever since graduating, the weight's just kind of slowly come on, incrementally over the past 2 years. That was kind of the situation that led up to
Definitely.
it. And it's sneaky too, when you don't have focus and when you're not kind of thinking actively about your health, it'll get the best of you.
It will. And you aren't necessarily at the age where you're thinking, I might have high cholesterol or high blood pressure or other issues, diabetes. That is a real thing when you start adding a lot of weight to your frame, because our long-term goal is about 190-ish or so. That's going to be a good body weight for your athletic build, your height, just the way you want to look and feel. But that's adding 40 some pounds onto your frame, which is unfortunately just not natural. That is what would happen if you were to just stay in that situation. And a lot of guys that I talk to I've been doing this for 23 years, they don't realize the health impact beyond just the physical impact of not feeling great about what you looked like. Right? I mean, imagine your clothes changed. The way you thought about yourself in the mirror wasn't quite the same. You weren't that young football player from high school anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, and actually the other thing I would add is, so I did a checkup with my doctor.
Okay.
Before starting this. And so everything looked good, but he said, you really need some dietary changes. You have high cholesterol. Some of it could be genetic, but a lot of it's in your control too. And, you know, that for me was a little bit of a impetus too, because it's like, I really can't let this get out of hand at my
Yeah.
age, really get far worse. And so, um, it was
Hmm.
really a combination of several things. I think it was kind of being tired of, you know, the place I was in, you know, just like in life. And then also
Hmm.
like, shoot, like you're like, this isn't looking good for your age. So
Right,
you
right.
gotta take action.
Yep. I can't tell you how many people show up because of the doctor visit, because of
Mhm.
showing up to the doctor. They say, hey, I have high cholesterol, blood pressure. They want to put me on meds. My A1C, which is the marker for diabetes, is 5.5 is normal. I've had some people, the highest one was 15, which is astronomical. But a lot
Wow.
of people come in between 6 and 8 to 10 range, and you're full blown diabetic as soon as you crash through that 6 barrier, and it's just not good. Your blood pressure, blood sugars are super high, and you just don't feel great all day long as a result of it. Now, certainly we have a slam dunk 30 pounds in 100 days. That is a slam dunk. That is a top tier effort in weight loss in a sustainable way. But what happened outside of just the physical process? We talked a lot about different habits, behaviors. I think that's one of the best parts about what I try to do with everyone is you're just not just a number, you're actually a real person in my program that I'm supporting as however I can, and we're going to actually talk about what the situation is, what
Yeah.
things need to change, and make sure we stick to it. So what happened outside of just losing 30 pounds?
Yeah, and that's been a really good part of it too, because it's, you know, you have your
Mhm.
physical health, but you know, it all intertwines, I've learned,
Yep.
with your mental health. And so for me, I kind of looked up and said, there's a reason why, you know, maybe I have these bad habits. Maybe there's a reason why I, you know, drink this much or do all these things. And it's mental health too. And it connects with your physical health. You know, you wake up in the morning and you feel a certain way because of what you're putting into your body. And so what's been really great to see is as I've gone through this process with you, and as I've lost the weight and you know, improved my nutrition habits, it's rippled out into
Yep.
other areas as well. So it's affected, I would say, my confidence and my ability to show up, you know, in relationships, my confidence to say no to things, because
Yeah,
there were
power of
some.
no is definitely changed for you, right? Especially in your social health, right? We talked a lot about that, about who your Tony Robbins says your 5 closest people have the biggest influence on you, and if you come into a new city and you just get adopted into a new social circle, then you end up you're the weakest of those influential people, and you just by default do whatever they're doing because, hey guys, as you know now, let's go on a 10-mile run. Those aren't the guys to ask for that type of activity.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been a big part of it too, is and you've kind of helped me realize it's like, what's your identity going to be? And you have to surround
Yeah.
yourself around people that fit that identity. And if your identity is, okay, well, I want to be a healthy person, I want to be around ambitious people, you know, maybe you have to make a change and you have to take a risk. And so, you know, one thing that I think has improved for me is, you know, I've developed more confidence to just go and do things and go after things, and maybe not just hang out at home. And so, you know, go join a run club. You put that idea in my head, and I went and did it. And, you know, it's a risky, not a risky thing, it's a scary thing to
Yeah,
put
a
yourself out
bunch of
there.
people. Yeah, you probably going into like, oh, there's a bunch of expert runners that can run
Yep.
all distances and speeds and all this, and you're going to come in and just be slow, and they're going to leave you behind.
Yeah, absolutely. But it just, you know, and I don't think, if I look back a few months ago, there's no way I would have done that at all, because I would have just
Yeah.
stayed and doing what I'm doing. So, you know, the physical health ripples out, like getting
Yes.
that in check ripples out. And that's
Yep.
and that's been a really encouraging thing to see, because it's just like people don't realize how much of an effect, you know, what you're putting into your body has on
Right.
everything, on your mind, your ability to focus, your energy, your
Right.
confidence, all of it.
Yep, yep. There are 5 pillars that I have in the call to rise. First one's the call. It's about your identity. Second one is the forge. It's about physical strength. Up, yay, we got balloons. Third is going to be the fuel, which is your nutrition. Fourth is called the code, which is mindset, which is a huge piece of this. And then the fifth one is the brotherhood of having a community of like-minded guys that are driving toward the same outcome of self-improvement, initially from losing weight or getting better blood panels or feeling more confident in their body, getting stronger, those type of things, getting faster. But those are the 5 pieces that go through this, and people don't realize where some of my favorite and where I just get my fingers in everywhere is the call, the identity piece of who you actually are and want to be or become. And then the second one is the mindset, of absolutely changing mindset and shifting your perspective about what you think and how you think and why you think. As soon as I can get a grasp into that part of your life, then big doors start swinging on those tiny little hinges that I plant that seed. Hey, I didn't even tell you necessarily to join the running group, but we just started looking for opportunities of different people and groups to hang out with, and a running club came up, and you like to be physically active and do that. So that was a natural suggestion that came after we had a couple weeks of progress. Silly enough, unfortunately, it's December now, and you joined a running club in basically November. So you get to run through a cold winter, but hey, you got an awesome Christmas list of fun running cold gear outside now. You get some more swag.
I'm suffering until I get it. I'm just gonna wait.
Yeah, he's wearing 2 layers of sweats.
Yeah, I get hypothermia, but at least I don't have to spend them.
It hasn't been that cold. 31 or something is the coldest, right? But it will get colder, and you'll love it. And again, it goes back to the code, the mindset. If you can go out, run 10, 15 miles in 0-degree weather, what else can you do? Because that's just a mindset type of a situation. Now, going back, what were you trying on your own to get the weight off? Were you doing anything at all? What was life like before? Think about pre-program Lucas, of what were you trying?
Yeah, so I've I've tried a lot of things. I think the main error is that I've tried it on my own.
Yeah.
I've tried it just with my own willpower. And one of the things I've learned is that, willpower really can fade really quick. You have to develop a good structure. I've tried all sorts of things. I've tried keto. I've tried, I'm going to do the carnivore diet. I've tried all kinds of things. And so I'm not going to just things that will just pop into my head. Like, I'm not going to eat any bread. I'm going to cut bread out.
Right. I joke that's the 1990s dieting theory is I'm just going to skip out breads, pastas, sugars. Yeah. You're stuck in the 90s. If that's what you think your approach to losing weight is, let's upgrade that thought process there.
Yeah. I've tried intermittent fasting. I've tried a lot of things, and I've found that, like, in all the things I've tried, there's a surge of motivation on the front end. So it's like there's a couple weeks where it's just, okay, I'm going to kill it, and maybe I'll drop a few pounds, but it always kind of swings in the other direction. It's like a rubber band. Yeah. It kind of just goes back. I think some of it is what I've tried hasn't made a lot of sense, and it just it's not a great system ultimately. So and you have to enjoy it too. I think I truly believe if you're miserable all the time trying to lose weight, like, it's not going to be sustainable, because you're going to want to be happy at some point.
Yep. Yeah. Designed for laziness. That is the whole process that I go through with every single person I've ever worked with. We're humans. We're looking for the easiest out of survival. How can I keep it as simple and easy as possible to get the outcomes that I want? Can I make $1 million by winning the lottery? Cool. Let's do that, instead of the years of skill acquisition and client acquisition and serving and all that. But at the other end of the day, which one would you rather have? I personally would rather have the skill sets to make $1 million rather than winning $1 million, because we've heard it time and time again. The people who win the lottery are broke within even just a few short years, which is unfathomable to understand. But $1 million doesn't go that long or that far these days. And you being a financial analyst know that it spends pretty quick. I've got 4 kids and it spends very quick. It's just like $100 bill fell in my pocket. Okay, where'd that go? I don't even remember. So, but we want the skill acquisition. What were some of the things that we did that made it easier, that made it more lifestyle driven, that made it where these were actual habits, routines, systems, processes, behaviors that changed for you?
Well, I think it's exactly what you said. I think it was the simplicity. Thing that stood out to me was get your steps each day. Get the 10,000 steps
Yeah,
each
it's a
day.
cheat code. It is a cheat code.
And then 1,800 for where you're wanting to go, 1,800 calories. And so it's like those two things,
right?
Simple. So just do those each and
10K
every
more,
day.
1,800 calories or less. That is the cheat code for most guys ever that I've worked with for 20 years. Mm-hmm. They just do those 2 basic things. They make progress. But we also need to fill in all the other gaps of building balanced meals, having convenient meals, being able to shop, being able to cook, being able to make decisions on the fly when life interrupts whatever you were going to do to what you're doing now. There's a lot of other things that show up, and eating in a way that improves cholesterol and A1Cs and all that stuff. But simple is easy, easy gets done. What else? So I know we worked on sleep. We worked on some behaviors around that and screens, the social. We talked about the social. We shifted. I'd love to dive into that a little bit more too. But let's start with the sleep routine and some of the behaviors that changed there.
I was going to add one more. I was just going to say,
please.
With the 1,800 calories, I think there's bad 1,800 calories. So another thing that's been helpful is understanding the food currency. Because you can eat 18 calories and still be starving because you're not getting the right. So I think focusing on the macros.
And that wasn't your experience, right? You were content
and hungry. I've been getting the fiber, the carbs, and reaching those goals. So
carbs, right? We've actually talked about carbs, especially if that was your old hat trick to lose weight with running. How much influence have I been putting upon you to make sure you get specifically carbohydrates at certain times when you are running?
Yeah, you need it. Absolutely. And so it's crucial for, and I think the lack of restrictiveness has been really helpful. And it's helped me be, just have fun with it also.
Yeah. Yep. The cheat meal, right? You're just like, what do we do with cheat meals? Like for the first 3 weeks, you really just kept asking about it, and we kept explaining it. It just needs to be a planned effort in a controlled environment to eat whatever you want and balance out the rest of the day. And after we got through, say 2 or 4 cheat times, where you're like, oh, I hung out with the buddies and we had burgers and beers, and okay, I'm starting to get it now. If I just eat this way when I go, not having a chicken salad when everyone's having a burger, but actually having a burger, but not just killing the whole plate with the fries included at 1,500 and add a tall boy on top of that. Now we're at 2,000, right? That's not going to help us.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, so I had a really bad habit of, looking at my phone before, going to sleep. It's the last thing I would do is just get that information overload. What's going on Instagram? What's going on Wall Street Journal? Everything. I want to know. I want to be watching TV, and so I just want to be informed. And so, that was affecting my sleep. And so I'd say for me, like if I could get 6 hours a night, that would be good. And I think going through this, it's been sort of a good, wake up call where it's like you should do an hour at least before bed, without screens, without all this information overload. And I think putting that in place has been really helpful too. And so I've, started reading instead, and the sleep is improved a lot. And the sleep is important for the recovery and everything. So it's not something to ignore like I maybe thought it was before.
Yeah, definitely. We found just lots of bad habits. A lot of guys do that. A lot of people these days just scroll, and getting the phone not next to you, but across the room. Or I have routinely for years now slept with my phone in the next adjacent room over. And I use my watch to wake me up. My watch wakes me up, and my phone is set for 2 minutes later, which makes sure that I get up and I get out of bed. And I don't want to wake the house up, and then I'm up and going. Now, the other thing is that these are just good behaviors to continue in the rest of your life as you grow in relationship and all, because for the love, relationships these days are two adults sitting next to each other, staring at bones, and we'll just throw it out, not having sex. They're just doing the other S, the screens and on. So there's just a significant lack of connection because of these devices that are attention seeking, and they are designed that way and they are marketed that way, and billions of dollars are getting put into, I think I randomly saw something, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, they're spending billions of dollars in these next few years, like 9-10 figures of dollars to improve technology. And what do you think that is? It's more attention,
making it more addictive.
Yeah. Yep. And so let's talk about some of the social shift too, because you're starting to develop a different group of people to hang out with, and we can compartmentalize. You don't have to ditch your last set of friends, but they are more here. Hey, I want to watch a football game on Sunday. I'll hang out with these guys. And hey, I want to be exercise. I'm going to hang out with this group of people. So how's that change and give you maybe more of that social health of connection with people, because that's important, especially moving into a city and not necessarily having a good social network. Jumping into a run club, they are super supportive very quickly, and they just want to encourage you, right? You show up and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, all these people are just happy I'm here, and they're excited and they're running with me and they're talking to me, asking me questions about who I am and what's important to me. And I have two friends from high school because of running that I still talk to. We text each other all the time, and I work out with one of them pretty regularly. Dan, once a week, once every other week, we see each other because of running, because we spent so much time together and we just have a connection through life.
Well, I think like for me, moving to a new city, I think, and like people who have done this, like would understand it. It's like, you just want people to hang out with, right?
Yeah,
like you
totally.
just want to fill your time. Like you don't want to be alone all the time. And so,
no, it's awful.
And so, yeah, no, it's not. And I'm more extroverted too. It's not what I want anyways. And so, you end up just kind of floating, I feel like. And I think through this process, I've realized it's just, who do you want to be spending time with? Like, what are those people like? We're going back to with the identity, that whole concept. As I've gotten into running and I've gotten into working out more, I've realized, and it's no knock on like anyone or what they choose to do, but I realized like that fulfills me more.
Yeah.
Than maybe going out and drinking every night. Like that to me feels more personally fulfilling. And so if I can find people that are on that track, then that's exactly what I should be doing. And so that's been a little bit of a shift too. I think it's just boundaries. And I think I always had a fear of like, if I say to the group of buddies, like, oh, I don't want to drink tonight, I would be judged.
Yeah. And, or I'm going to call it at 10 instead of 2.
Yeah. And it really, I would say like to anyone that's afraid of making that shift, like that's usually not the case. Like as much as you think it's going to be.
Right.
People are, and this may be a negative statement, but people are more usually pretty focused on themselves. They're not too worried about
go
judging.
To the gym and everyone's going to look at me. No, they're looking at their phone. They're not even exercising because they're texting people or scrolling on Insta.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. So I mean, if I am out at the bars, I just kind of say, you know what, it's 9, I want to go home. And it's just kind of like, okay, good. Like that's what you want to do. At first it was kind of like,
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a new
that's not
identity
like
shift.
that's a new you.
Like, what? Wait, Lucas, so what? You're already leaving, man, and then they might go into deprecation mode of making funny and calling it out, you wimp, can't hang, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden
Yeah.
you do it 10 times in a row. It's like, oh, Lucas just leaves at 9. So if we want to hang out with Lucas, and we just know that we need to start early enough to hang out with him and appreciate him for who he is, and he's only going to drink 1 beer, not 4, and
Yeah.
spend $80 on beer and alcohol at the bar or something. Yeah. But that shifts. And here's one thing I always have to throw out to people is your social circles are where they're at now, and they're used to you acting in a certain way. You have to adjust that relationship and constantly communicate to what is happening, so that, yeah, sure, the first time the guys will make fun of you. That's just what guys do. And but after, if they are quality people that continue to be in your life, they will again start to assimilate to that. They will, okay, cool, Lucas, we still want you to hang out. We just know that you bounce before it gets too crazy or something.
Yeah. So I think it's all, again, it's like the ripple effect. I've created more structure. I think what I want has changed because the health has improved, because I've gotten into running and working out and eating cleaner. You know, when you're eating cleaner, you're not drinking.
We'll say
as
healthier,
much.
because I always joke, clean eating. Do you wash your food before you eat it or something? Like, what do you mean? But healthier eating.
Like, if you're focused on that, like you go to the bar and you have like, you can't have 3 beers because that's not going to get you where you want to go.
Right.
You know, for losing weight. And so it's like, okay, I'm only having 1 beer. And it's like, you wake up the next day and that 1 beer feels a lot better than 3 beers felt.
Yeah. And if you heard, he still had a beer. We were able to figure out how he can be social in that aspect and enjoy the beer, but not have to walk out of there, say, drunk or hungover the next day. That's not Lucas's behavior anyways. So I just want to throw that out there too. He just had a 6-pack in his hand anywhere he went, but it's easy to overindulge when you're in the environment that people are already overindulging. You are more likely to jump off the bridge if 5 other people have jumped off the bridge. Like, well, I guess it sounds like a good idea. They did it, so maybe I should do it, even though the gut feelings is like, this isn't a good idea. Don't do it. Like, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Now, what was some of the biggest go ahead.
Well, I was just to say too, if you have a run club at 8 a.m. the next day, you know, that's a good, if you add that structure to your life too, you know that shoot, like run clubs can be really tough if I have a 6-pack.
Yep. Now, the trajectory of the people that you hang out with and the way you think and feel about yourself is going to change the trajectory of, say, who your life partner is going to be at some point, right? Right now, we're focusing on self-improvement of who Lucas is. And just a quick question, are you going to attract more of your ideal mate when you're almost 240 pounds, living a sedentary, lack of way to put it, but a boring life, as opposed to Lucas, who's on his way down to, say, the 180s and is healthy, fit, takes care of himself, is energetic, is productive, is looking for self-improvement?
Well, I think now that I think back on it, I felt like I could attract the person that I wanted, you know, back when I was 240. And it was kind of like, okay, this is who I want. Like, I want someone who's fit, someone who's driven, someone who's, you know, focused and all these great things. But it's like, I'm really not that myself, but I didn't see it that way at the time. I just saw it like, this is what I want. Like, why am I not getting it? And, you know, that's kind of that's a tough reality to face, because like we all want to have like the best partner, you know.
Of course, possible. That's just the basics of being a human. The outcome of pushing your gene pool forward.
Yeah, but like you also can't get what you aren't really. I mean, if you're not, you know, working to be the best version of yourself, and you want someone great, like, you know, it's going to be harder to make that connection. It's going to be harder to you know, to get that. And so I think it's given me more confidence in that that area too, I think that's a major benefit. So
Definitely. And for those who are listening that are married, like me, I've married my high school sweetheart. We're almost 20 years in, and it's still important to take care of yourself. It's still important to hold yourself at a high esteem. It's still important to have confidence when you pull your shirt off and you're playing with your kids in the pool. It's still important to be mentally, emotionally, and intimate with your partner and be attracted physically to them, and not just fall into the comfort of proximity, closeness, marriage, relationship, stress, all the kids, all the other things that come in. And next thing you know, you're back at 240. You are not going to connect to your partner like you should if you just keep taking care of yourself. That's just an important thing to know. So if you're listening, you are married, it's still important to take care of yourself so that you are still attractable to your spouse in many different ways. Not just, oh, he's a provider now and he makes money. No, my husband still looks hot. That's what you want. You want that 10, 15, 30 years into your relationship. You want your wife to still find you physically attractive. Like, oh, I've got a hunk. I'm so lucky to have this guy. That's going to give you way more of what you want as a man in a relationship than not. All right, Lucas, what are some of the biggest challenges you had when getting started in the first place? Of just like, should I do this? Should I not? Should I even reach out for someone or just do it again on my own?
Yeah, well, So for me, it's like this stubbornness. I always kind of felt like I can figure it out. I can do it. But also, wise man once said that, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And so it's like we have 2 years of just kind of going downhill, having these spurts of motivation, and then just, the net result is, 240-ish. And so I think for me, I got to a point where I was really ready. I was kind of at that point, but I think, you do have the hesitation to commit, financially, to commit.
Yeah, sure.
The time, everything like that. But I would also say, like, if you are hesitating to, for those reasons, it's like you've already gotten to the point where, you're thinking about doing it, where you've identified, like, I need to change, and you've identified, like, I need to, evolve as a person. So I just think if you're already in that headspace, just go for it, because, what do you have to lose? You're only going to grow and you're only going to improve from it. That was kind of how I decided to take the leap and just go for it.
I always loved like this part of our journey, Lucas. If I could take everything that you said and even the concept, we didn't say this on the podcast, on the interview here, but we planted a seed of being more social with people. We chose to do a run club, and now you're starting to run and grow relationships there. And what is the potential thing that's on the horizon that you might do now that you may not have ever thought you would do?
Yeah, over the past 3 months, gotten into running, done it every day, love it. And so I've decided that in 2026, I'm going to run a marathon.
Yeah, pretty wild, huh? So Lucas, on our very first call, Lucas, through our conversations that we're going to have, I'm going to help inspire you to lose 30 pounds in 100 days. I'm going to get you to shift your social circles. I'm going to get you to feel way more confident, even think about running a marathon next year. What would you say if I said that to you on that very first call?
Well, I would have said no, there's no way. I mean, but yeah. And looking back on it, I would have never expected that. My expectation was just lose a couple pounds, and that's going to be good and that's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have said, Brian, you're crazy.
Yeah. I've had this conversation, this retrospective conversation so many times, and it's my why. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to come into your life and just speak your truth. Ultimately, that's all I did. I just asked you questions that made you think about what it is that you want. And I didn't have to do a lot of effort per se to get you to do the thing, because personally incentivized to do it anyways, because you understood why you wanted to do it and why it was going to improve your life. And you started seeing the improvements every single week because you're like, when is this going to plateau? It's like, dude, it doesn't have to plateau. We just keep moving forward, being consistent, doing these things that are already working. And then we get results. And that's exactly what you did. You're just like, oh my gosh, I'm down like 2 pounds. I'm down 3 pounds this week. I'm just like, what is going on here? And we just saw that we set it up in a way that helps you maintain it and be successful and doing it in a fun way, right? Your food tasted good. You were full enough. You had energy. You are better rested. You look healthier, feel stronger, all these things. Now, speaking to, say, that Lucas before, any other person that's in a similar position where they catch themselves 20, 30, 50 pounds of weight, cholesterol issues, or worse, what would you tell them to do? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would say do this. That's what I'd say to them.
You.
But no, I would honestly. But I would say that it's not going to get better. No one's going to do it for you. Like you have to be the one to make the leap. You have to do it. I've in the years I've talked to so many people and I've just been like, oh, I can't get in shape and I'll do this and this. And they're like, oh, do this. But like, it has to be my decision ultimately.
Right.
And it has a huge effect. Losing the weight has a huge effect on your mental health, your emotional health, how you show up for, I don't have kids, but how you show up for your kids, how you show up for your significant other, how you show up at work. It all has a huge effect. And so I think if you think about it that way, it makes it more impactful. Because otherwise, if you just think of it as, oh, I'm going to lose a couple pounds, like that's
not what I do.
Have to have a why.
As you know, that's the byproduct of everything that we do.
Yeah. So you have to have the why behind it. But I would just say, just take it seriously and just get the help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think as men, sometimes you don't want to ask for help. You want to be like,
don't ask for directions. Yeah. Well, if you've been struggling to lose weight, to change your health, you have bad blood panels, you are not in a good spot and you know it, and you've been trying all the things, then maybe the call to rise is for you. Lucas, I want to thank you so much for our first 100 days. You're going to continue on. We've got some pretty cool things that we're going to keep working on. The initial one is getting to our goal weight. Then the second is eating a lot more calories at your goal weight. And it's one of those things that's hard to battle. And you're like, wait, I can eat more calories while staying without gaining weight? Yes, it's a real thing, and we're going to do it. So can I add 200, 300, 500 more calories a day and you stay at that 190-ish body weight? And we're going to work on doing that too. And then train you for the marathon and just the physical body changes within the gym and all. And those are other things. And I'm sure there'll be plenty other good things that'll start coming out through our conversation. Maybe a puppy or something, as we spoke about the other day. Or foster puppies, right? We started with foster puppies, not ownership of a dog, right? So if you're watching, listening, and Lucas's story hit you, then reach out, thecalltorise.com. We can have a conversation about how to start making nutrition, health, fitness, and ultimately a lifestyle change for you. You probably need it, especially if you're this far into our video here. Well, thank you, Lucas. I look forward to our future. Thanks for everyone who's listening here. I appreciate you, and I hope to see and talk to you in the future. Off we go. That's this episode for Driven for Health. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.